Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over to you, Gina.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining us today. My name is Gina Knight, and I'm the chairman of the National Aging in Place Council, the Chicagoland chapter. Today, our panel is myself. My company is Castle Keeper, and Julianne Rizzo will also be joining us today as a presenter, and her company is Oasis Senior Advisors. So we're going to go over today, what is a successful transition for anyone who's looking to transition to senior living. Want to do a little bit of a background of who the National Aging in Place Council is. As I mentioned, we are the Chicagoland chapter. We're based out of Washington, D.C., and there's currently about 14, 15 chapters throughout the U.S. More are still forming. And here in the Chicago area, what we're doing is basically, it's our mission to educate and empower families and communities in the Chicagoland area so that older adults can live safely, independently, and comfortable in the home of their choice for as long as they choose. There's kind of a misnomer out there that, aging in place only means in the home, and that's really not true. You can age in place wherever you would like. It could be aging in place in a multi-generational housing with one of the adult children, or it could also be aging in place in a senior living community. And Julianne's going to review that with you so you understand how there are multiple levels within those communities so that you can, in fact, age in place there as well. So here at NEIPC, the Chicagoland chapter, we're a group of licensed professionals, we're business owners, we're advocates who are committed to basically providing a public outreach and how we work with everyone in the community to learn more about all the services that are available to you. I always say you don't know what you don't know, and it's so important to learn all these things so when the time comes, you have the right information that will help you make some really great decisions. So let's get started. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with the fact, but by 2035, there's actually going to be more people over the age of 65 than under the age of 18. The population is going to flip from that traditional pyramid that you would normally see, and there's actually going to be more older people than there's going to be younger people. That's going to put a big strain on how are we going to age and how are we going to take care of older adults. So what is aging in place? Aging in place is simply a term that's used to describe, people that are living in the home of their choice for as long as they desire, as I mentioned. It encompasses the ability to access any service, support system within their home as their mobility and their needs will change. That's basically just the definition of aging in place. So regardless of your living arrangements, we want to make sure that the professionals here at NEIPC are here to help you. Again, as I mentioned, most people think of aging in place has to be in the home, and that's not true. So we were talking today about transitioning, and that's to transition into a senior living community so you can age in place within that community. A little bit of background on who I am. So again, as I mentioned, my company is Castle Keeper. I've been a realtor since 2000. I've been in real estate since 1988. I'm also a member of the National Association of Move Managers. So I also am certified in staging, and I do also sell real estate. So I work with families to basically provide them a full service when they're looking to transition to a senior living community. So what do you need to do to prepare to transition? And that's what we're going to talk about today. I kind of put it in 4 different categories. The first one, I say we get started and we're going to tidy up. I refer to it as tidying up, which basically is kind of that downsizing and getting things ready, if you will. How are we going to select that best community? What's the best approach to do that? Who are the professionals that we should be working with so that we get the best decisions together for our transition? What's a senior move manager? And what is full estate management? So we're going to go over these 4 categories. So this is what we don't want you to look like. Although I will tell you that most of my clients, this is what it feels like. A very stressful situation. And we really don't want that to happen. We're here to help. So when we talk about tidying up, if your basement happens to look like the picture on the left, it is time to get started with tidying up. Trust me, your adult children will appreciate it. So the lady on the right there is saying, you know, she doesn't want people to see what's behind those doors. And I understand that. We work with our clients from every step of the way. And trust me, there's nothing that no one has seen before if you're a professional in this market, but we're here to help. And that's the key behind what we do. So when I work with a client, what I refer to is there's 4 elements of tidying up, what we refer to as keep, donate, sell, pass on, or share. So things that you want to keep, I always say, what brings you joy? So this is kind of like things that you need to start thinking about in your own home. What brings you joy? What are important things that you should be thinking about that make the most sense to bring with when you transition to a senior living community? Some things are going to be so important that they're going to be things like family photos. Those are always going to be important things that you want to bring. Now, keep in mind, if you have 100 different frames of family photos, there's only so much wall space. However, this is why you take the time in advance, if you will, and start looking at what are the things we need to start thinking about. What's the most important to you so that you can start getting that downsizing process started. So things like religious items, those might be very important, and those are things that we want to make sure are coming with you. A lot of my clients will have yadros or hummels, and many of them have small curio cabinets. Those curio cabinets can come with you. We may need to look at how many items that we have in that curio cabinet, or if we have multiple curio cabinets, we want to make sure that maybe we're downsizing to just one with the most important ones that bring you joy or have meaning behind them. And again, that's part of getting started for that downsizing process. So let's think about it. What else brings you joy? Those are things that we have to start thinking about before we start the donating process. So there's places to donate. Everyone has heard of Goodwill. Many of you have heard of Salvation Army, the Vietnam veterans. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of Clearbrook. Clearbrook works with handicapped families, and that's another wonderful place to donate furniture and things of that items. They help families with somebody who's handicapped to get back on their feet and have independence for themselves. But we're going to help you with that process to get that donation going through. This is a great one. I always ask my clients, how many Afghans do you have? And I'll say in the room of people, I'll say, how many people in this room have 3 Afghans? Well, of course, everybody in the room raises their hands. But when I start getting up to close to 10 and you're still raising your hand, you really have to stop and think about, do I really need these? And this is, again, part of that thought process on the downsizing. You don't need 10 Afghans. You know why? Because you basically rewash the same one over and over and over because it's your favorite. So why do I have 10? We can donate half or more of those to a homeless shelter where they will be put in really good use. Books. I'm not sure why, but everybody has an awful lot of books. In fact, it's actually become, since the pandemic, it's actually become very difficult to even donate books because there's an abundance of books, even like the half-price books, for instance. They got to the point where they stopped taking donations. They may have opened up again, but there was a point that they literally stopped because they had so many books that they were receiving because people were at home and they were starting to go through their stuff, right? So they're trying to donate their books. Cookbooks. Now, let me explain to you. I'm not sure why you have so many cookbooks, nor do you need to bring them all. Why would you not need to bring them? Because the beauty of going into a senior living community is somebody else is basically doing the cooking. Now, that doesn't mean you can't cook something by yourself. If you're going into independent living, you'll have the ability to do that. However, even if you are going into independent living, you want to make sure that you have a limited number because you're going to be out and about socializing with other people, and there's just simply no reason for you to have this many books or cookbooks. So again, no reason to pack all these items. It's time to start donating them, sharing them with friends and family, or sadly, they will end up being pitched. It's unfortunate, but that is what typically happens. Closet space. So when you go to senior living, the closet on the left there, if your closet looks remotely like that, it's going to be a problem, because even the closet on the right, you will have limited space. That is the downside in senior living, is that there's not a lot of space. So that's the downside to that. Pots and pans. Again, we talked about the fact that you're not really going to be doing cooking. So you do not need to bring 40 pots and pans. You don't need them. Either donate them, or simply if they're old and they may not even be usable to somebody else, it's time to start going through those items, because there's no reason for us to pack them and move them. There will be no place to put them, is really what the truth comes to. So this goes right there with the Afghans. How many coffee cups do you have? Chances are you're going to tell me you have more than a dozen, because you have a coffee cup from every vacation you went on, or your kids went on and they brought you a coffee cup. And I bet probably at least a quarter to half of them might even have a chip or a crack in them. Even Goodwill does not want your chipped or cracked coffee cup. So homework for tomorrow. Everybody open up their cabinets. Every coffee cup that you have that has a chip or a crack in it, toss it. You can't use it in the future. You can't even donate it. So there you go. Right there, you got started with your downsizing. There's this great article that talks about the 10 items that your kids are that they don't want. And it's just really interesting when you look at the list of all the items, how everybody thinks that you want these items and the kids don't want them, and we're saving them for absolutely no reason. Can anybody guess what the number one item is that people are saving that they don't want?
China.
Yep. And everybody's saving it for some unknown reason. Everybody's saving it. And I'll be telling you this, we do sell things for our clients, and we are able to sell things once in a while, but not always. It really kind of depends on what the value of them are. And some of them are just simply old, more sentimental pieces. Sometimes they're valuable pieces. So that again is something that it's a case-by-case situation. It's a great article. I'll share it with Megan and she can share it with everybody. So what is selling? So when we work with our clients, we like to put money back in your pocket, and we often are able to sell some of those furniture items that are not going with you, especially if they're more antique type pieces, or you have artwork that are very valuable, or vases that are valuable. You're going to want to, again, pare down what you're bringing with you substantially. So it's time to start thinking about some of those items and how you would start selling those items. So again, if you have this wonderful stopwatch, or pocket watch, or you have a portrait of the Mona Lisa, those are things we want to get, put together. This one on the left here is actually a piece that I sold for a client, believe it or not. It's a Yadro, and we got $6,500 for it. There was no way this could possibly have been brought to a senior living community and survived a trip in one piece. So it made more sense. She wasn't going to have a place to display it, and it made more sense to sell it. Kind of like this Lalique vase here. So this particular one that I'm showing you is worth $19,000. If you have more than one of those, you do not need to bring it to senior living. It's time to think about selling one of those and putting some money in your pocket. So gifting and passing on. So basically what that is, so like this lady's holding this lovely crystal bowl, for instance, and she's always told everybody in the family that, oh, when I pass away, this lovely crystal bowl is going to Susie. My granddaughter Susie is going to get this crystal bowl. Well, wouldn't it be more wonderful if she were to give that to Susie now and have the joy of passing it on while she's here, not what happens or doesn't happen in the future? So that's what we refer to as gifting and passing on, or sharing with a family member. Sometimes with some of my clients, we even pack items out and ship them across the country to a family member who they can get the joy of using this special item from their grandparent or their mom or dad now, versus, 10 or 20 years from now? Very similar to this, if you have items that are special yadros, this little ballerina, for instance, maybe you have a niece who's a ballerina and you happen to have a yadro that's a ballerina. Maybe you should be thinking about gifting that to her. This picture on the top right is a snow globe. Maybe you know somebody in your family or a neighbor or some kid down the street who's been wonderful to you over the years, and you think that that would be a great gift for them. Start thinking about those items so that these things can be done when the time comes, or even now for that matter, so that you've already started that downsizing process. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Julianne. She's going to talk about the different places that we need to think about when we're looking to transition to senior living. Julianne?
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. You know, sometimes I'm on mute. Hello. Yes, I'm Julianne Rizzo with Oasis Senior Advisor, proud member of NAICPC since its inception, along with Gina. So very happy to be here. I am a registered nurse and a small business owner. And what I'm going to talk to you today about is senior living options. There's a next slide, please. There we go. There's a lot of information, right? This is the spectrum for senior living. There's independent, there's supportive living, there's adult daycare, there's just so much, and it's an overwhelming experience. Most people only have to do it once, right? So why not trust someone through the NAIPC that can help you guide you through that process. So next slide. I think we're going to start talking with the different just about, I'm sorry, here, I'm just an expert in the senior industry. We work with people to make unbiased community referrals. We schedule tours, we do things like that with you. So what I want to talk about more so is the different types of communities. So I think we're going to start, next slide, please. The different types. So independent living. So that's simple. Independent living is kind of how you live now if you live at home. You come and go as you please. You don't have to check in with anybody. Maybe you have a housekeeper come in and clean your house. But what the communities offer you is maintenance-free living. You no longer have to take care of the yard. You don't have to put the filter in the furnace anymore. It's maintenance-free. Most independent communities have meal programs. So if you wanted to eat, dine with everybody, you can certainly do that. That's one of the things they offer. And there's tons of activities as well as transportation. The next thing I want to talk about is assisted living. And the difference between assisted living and independent living is that you start needing some help with activities of daily living. Sometimes you may hear it called ADLs, which just stands for activities of daily living. And those are bathing, dressing, eating, toileting, and transferring. So let's say, it's getting a little harder. You get the arthritis is setting in your shoulders, and it's getting a little harder to get in the shower and get that top on. So now you need some assistance with those activities of daily living. So those services are available for you there. So you need help with at least 2 of them, right? So next community I want to talk about are memory care communities. And those are communities that you have to have a diagnosis of dementia. I was reading there's 8 main categories of dementia, and underneath all of those categories, there's about 400 different diagnoses. So I like to think of the word dementia like an umbrella, like the term cancer. And then there's all these different types of dementias underneath there, like Parkinson's disease or Alzheimer's or Lewy bodies, things like that. So you have to have a diagnosis. And those are secured units. So just in case you're wandering or you get so confused, you can't remember, you wake up and you don't know where you are, so you try and leave to get to a safer place. Well, these communities are secured, so they keep your loved ones safe. So that's a memory care. The next type of community is a skilled nursing facilities. You'll sometimes see the abbreviation of SNF. You'll hear that term. And those are rehab facilities. And you can go there after a injury, like a hip or recovering from cardiac surgery, something like that, you can go to a skilled nursing. And then sometimes when you need help with more than just those 2 activities of daily living, you have to go to a skilled nursing facility. And those are the communities that we've heard a lot about in the past 18 months around COVID. And a couple of things I want to bring light to about that is skilled nursing facilities are people that are very close to end of life. They are the sickest. They can't really take care of themselves independently. They're usually fed, bathed, dressed, all of those activities. So they're also very close community facilities because maybe there's 2 to 3 people in a room. So already very sick, older people in tight quarters, probably getting the same care from a caregiver in a shift. So you think about that caregiver going to home and, you know, living in the community, getting COVID, coming, working with a bunch of seniors. So those communities got hit very hard with COVID. My disclaimer, I do not believe that a high COVID rate is an indication of bad care at all. I think it's just that those reasons I just said to you. So
I agree 100%.
I just want to get on my soapbox for my friends in the skilled nursing facilities. And then next type of community is a continuing care retirement community. Sometimes you'll hear that called CCRC. And what those are, they have all of those disciplines I just talked about. They have an independent living section, an assisted living section. Most of them have a memory care, and some of them have a skilled nursing. So you pay an entrance fee to move in there. The biggest bang for your buck is really moving in when you're independent. If you're already in assisted living, it doesn't make sense for you to look there, because what they do is they provide care through the entire spectrum of life. End of life. They will take care of you as you age. So let's say you all of a sudden need assisted, then you need memory care. They can take care of you, and you pay a reduced fee that you would normally pay at another place because you've already been there and there's some loyalty there. So they're saying, come live with us and we're going to take care of you for life. So that's the plus for them. Now, all of those things that I just spoke about are private pay. Those are your dollars, you pay for those. And some people don't have 401ks, they don't have a house to sell to use those assets. So Illinois did a really good job and they created supportive living facilities. Now there's clearly not enough of them. I'll just disclaimer there. But what that is, it's a Medicaid facility for people who need assisted living, but they don't have the assets for the private pay. So Illinois did a great job. They created that program. We just need for all those buildings to have a lot of babies. That's what I need. So let's go to the next slide. Now I'm sure you want to, I think the next slide is talking about how we're going to pay for it. Gina? Nope, I always confuse this one. Sorry about that. So I want to talk about the cost. So home care, someone to come in your home, not medical, just home care for companionship or homemaker service. Let's say they come for 4 hours a day. Well, that will run you on average is $4,700 a month. So that's 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? So someone comes in and helps you get dressed, get showered, get you fed, and maybe have some meal planning for you. Now, if you needed a home medical, it's about the same cost. So if you needed medical care, you know, you have a catheter or you maybe you have an ostomy bag that needs cleaning or changing, you need a home health nurse. That's another $4,700. So if you were looking at a community or an assisted living, they're gonna those types of assistance, like an adult daycare. Let's say in the middle of the day, someone you have a spouse who has, let's say, dementia, a form of dementia, and it's just a ton of work. I know firsthand it is a ton of work. It is physically and mentally draining. So there are companies out there, they're called an adult daycare, and you can send your loved one there for about 6 hours a day. They'll provide them lunch, they'll help with the incontinent products, and they will give them activities, something to do to keep them up, keep them up and awake so that they're not sleeping awake all night, right? Because if they were home, they might be sleeping all day. That's going to run you about almost $1,600 a month. And then there's assisted living programs, which is also in the median price in Illinois is $4,700 for an assisted living. So you can see how it's a little cost effective, but those assisted living facilities are going to provide all your meals, 24/7 care, all of those things that you were only getting for a few hours a day. So keep in mind, nursing facilities, if you are only need skilled nursing, you've aged too quickly and you're past assisted living, you're looking for a private room, that's a little outdated. It's about $9,800, or a semi-private room, you're at $8,400 a month. So that's kind of, just want to throw that information out. This information is provided by Genworth, which is the leading company that provides long-term care, and their actuarians come up. And so this is always a year in the rears, and it comes out in July. So we should get 2020 very soon, and I'll be interested to see what happened there. So the next slide is what I'm pretty sure how you're going to pay for it, right? So what I hear all the time is I'll get a client and I'll understand all their needs. And then I'll say, so what is your budget? And they will say, oh, well, I have Medicare. So I'm here to tell you right now, Medicare does not pay for assisted living, skilled nursing. They do not pay for that. If you think about it, that's a benefit that would not cover your mortgage right now, right? So that's off the table. So how would you pay for it? Social Security or disability income. If you have a pension, if you have an IRA or annuity or any form of savings, long-term care insurance, that is gold. If you were lucky and smart enough to do it years ago, you're ahead of the game because it's such a benefit. I currently have a client right now who gets $7,200 a month for their care. So they have their pick of assisted living. They could go anywhere because money's not an object. So if you if you do not now have long-term care insurance, look into it. And I think we have someone on NAIPC that can help you with that if that's something you're interested in. Also, if you're a veteran, or a spouse of a veteran, or maybe you're a widow of a veteran, you can apply for aid in attendance, and you can get dollars every month that you can spend that goes towards your care. So that's something else to keep in mind on how to pay for senior living options. Next slide. So confidential. So the most important thing I always tell my seniors, because I'm a nurse and I do a lot of presenting in front of people, is keep your information very, very close, very safe. So remember, work with a placement special, not an online referral company where you don't know where your information is going. Work with someone one-on-one so they understand you. Everybody on NAIPC provides that same service. Get the point person to deal with all of those salespeople. If you start looking for a senior living community on your own, they know your call, they get your number on your caller ID, and they get your phone number, whether you want to give it to them or not, and they're going to use it. So work with somebody else so that they can do it for you. Make sure they're HIPAA compliant. Again, keep your information close. So
can I chime in?
Yes.
One of the things that I know, Julian, you're probably not the right person to be making this statement, so I'll make it for you. There are services out there on the internet. Google can be your friend, but Google can also get you in trouble. And that's where, unfortunately, you're talking to some of these places, and that's exactly what they will do, is they will share your phone number. And there's things called ads on Google, and they're basically paid ads, and they come up first in your search. And then what happens is you're thinking it's a safe place to call, and unfortunately they're not. So I work very hard to make sure that any of my clients, you know, if they're looking to transition into senior living, that they're working with someone like Julianne, because we want to make sure your phone is not ringing off the hook. We want to make sure that someone that you're speaking to is also taking care of you and also keeping your information private, because it's so vital. As we know today, the world can be very scary out there and so easily be taken advantage of. And we want to make sure, that's really the big mission behind the National Aging in Place Council as well, is to make sure that you're working with people who've gone through background checks and people who are truly here to help you and not hurt you in any way. We're here to give you our knowledge and help you make the best decisions for you and your family. So I'm sorry, I felt the need to chime in on that.
Okay, thank you. Go to the next slide.
I'm going to do a change. There we go.
So, you know, what I want to say is home is where you lay your hat, right? So however we get you to where you need to be in your next stage of your life, maybe it is just downsizing, maybe it's moving to another community, maybe it's moving in with your daughter, wherever it is, you need help to get there, right? So I think the next slide is how I'm going to introduce Gina to the group here.
Yes. So, as Julianne said, so now we know where we're going to go. She's helped to identify the best community for you. And now we have to talk about how are we going to actually logistically get you there. And that's what a senior move manager is. So again, the National Association of Senior Move Managers is an association that like we went through, and it's basically a certification, and it's a process in which you go through getting certified to work with exclusively with seniors and help them go through this process. So here at my company, we're handling everything for you. So we're doing that downsizing. If you don't know what right sizing is basically taking that floor plan of where you're going and right sizing the furniture within your home, what's going to fit. So they refer to that as right sizing. And that again is a big vital part of it, because as you can imagine, we don't want to take 4 dressers and only 1 or 2 of them fit in that room, because now we've moved it to the community. Now what are we going to do? Now we have to move it again. So again, that time is money thing. So we want to make sure that you're right sizing and making sure that the right items are coming with you and they're actually going to fit into your future home. We're going to work with you on that relocation planning, coordinate all the packing and the whole moving logistics. We're going to even procure some furniture for you. A lot of times my clients will have a king size bed. As you can imagine, a king size bed is not the right choice for when you're moving into senior living, because your room is going to probably be smaller. And therefore we want to make sure that your bed is smaller so that your furniture can also fit in that room with you. So we're going to do that whole design with you as well. This is just an example of this is an actual client, and the picture on the left is showing you what their sadly, this was a family room, and they're not ready for senior living, but they wanted to get the process started. So we did some downsizing and some cleaning up and straightening things out. And as you can see, now they have this beautiful living space. And we've also gotten basically through one room that we know a lot of those items that needed to be disposed of or donated, that room has been taken care of at this point. And in the meantime, they have a wonderful living space that they can utilize versus the picture on the left that they weren't utilizing anyway. So a big part of that process, as we mentioned, is going to be that downsizing. This just kind of gives you an example of when you go look at a senior living community, sometimes it's really hard to imagine your stuff there. So I just wanted to show you that picture on the left. You're looking at that blank slate and you're like, oh my goodness, will my stuff fit in here? What will my stuff look like in here? Well, if you're working with the right move manager, they're going to help you through that process. And then they're also going to recreate that new home for you. So that picture on the left is showing you all of a sudden it looks like your home. And your pictures are hung and your family is there, and all of the things that are important to you, like we said, that bring you joy, are now in that room with you. The goal behind move management is really to provide the family no stress. It's so important because I will tell you, even with the most prepared families, it's a very stressful time. The preparing for the downsizing and the packing, as well as the actual move day and the unpacking and the setting up, and then the actual leaving the home and coming into the new community. It's very overwhelming. And we're here to try and make that as stress-free as possible. That's why you work with professionals who can help you do this. One of the other most important things you need to think about when you're selecting people to work with is you want to make sure that they're insured. Again, you're letting people into your home and into your property and really kind of an extension of your family to help you through this process. So you want to make sure that you're working with people. You know, that's where Google's lovely, because Google can also give you some feedback on the company that you're working or looking to work with, to make sure that other people have had wonderful experiences, so that you know you're working with someone who's going to be very helpful to you. Estate management is basically, so not only do we downsize, but now we have to figure out what are we doing with some of those valuable items. As I mentioned, that's going to be things like photographing those items. What are they worth? How can I sell them? It is a service that we provide here at my company, and there's other companies that may provide a very similar service. We just want to make sure at the end of the day, when we're doing that category that we talked about earlier, which is sell, we want to make sure that we're getting the most for the value of your valuable that you have, and you're putting that money in your pocket. So putting it to a different use. Another part of the whole process that you're going through is not only are you transitioning to senior living, but now you also have a home. And what are you doing with that home? Well, you want to make sure that you're working with someone who's going to prepare that home for you for sale. You're going to want somebody who is certified in staging. You're going to want somebody who can make those repairs for you, and also be able to sell that home and finish any last minute things that are going to help you and your family, again, make that transition a full circle and the most pleasant experience as possible. So just to wrap that up, we're basically looking for that one trusted point of contact that can offer you all those services. And again, like Julianne mentioned earlier, I mean, her and I work together all the time with clients, because it becomes seamless. And that's really what's important, is we're here to help you with, trusted resources. And that's really the whole premise behind the National Aging in Place Council. So regardless of, who someone is, what their race is, what their background is, what their income level is, the beauty of working with NAIPC and our team members, there is no discrimination. We're here to help you. We're here to give you the information that you need so that we can help you and your family make some wonderful decisions. This is just a great quote from Thomas Edison. It says, "Good fortune is what happens when opportunity meets planning." I can't stress enough how important it is to plan. And the reason we talk about planning is, so we're going to give Megan some information, and she'll be able to share that with you. And when you receive those lists of people, if you appreciated the information that you heard from Julianne and myself, what you're going to want to do is take that information and put it in a folder and have it in a safe place. And the day that you're looking to make some of these decisions and you'd like to transition to senior living, or you even want to talk about it, or you simply have questions, then at least you have that folder to turn to where that important information is. And you go, oh yeah, I remember hearing that person talk, or oh yeah, they had great ideas, I should talk to them. So at least you know that in the future you have that in your pocket, and you at least know that you're talking to somebody who you've heard speak before, or someone has recommended to you. If your friend down the street has had a wonderful experience with somebody, put that information in that folder as well, so that when the time comes, it's planning and you're prepared. And that's really one of the biggest things that you need to think about as you're moving through this process in what we call the whole transition. I just wanted to give you a couple other statistics that you should be aware of. So over $3 billion are lost every year in scams for older adults. Sadly, I have a client right now who recently lost just under $100,000 because somebody scammed her. It's such a sad story. And I mean, even the FBI is involved. It's just an overwhelming situation for her. And sadly, there's nothing I can do because it all happened when I wasn't involved, but I'm happy they reached out to us and we're going to help them as best that we can. She's got some family members that are galling around her and helping her, but these are things of why the National Aging in Place Council really came into play, because we wanted to make sure that background checks are done on these people that are out there. They're legitimate businesses here to help you and not harm you. And that's what's so important. I wanted to give you a slight rundown of who some of the members are in our group and what their services are. So these are things that, again, you can start thinking about that you might need. So I'm just going to read them off here for you. So someone with home modifications and design, non-medical in-home care, Medicare specialist, financial advisors and retirement specialists, elder law attorneys and care coordinators. We have an audiologist who's part of our team. We have a rep from Caption Call. We have mental health professionals, certified senior advisors, long-term care insurance specialists, move management that we talked about, in senior transition relocation. We have an architect. We have a senior real estate specialist, care managers, and reverse mortgage consultants. So we have a really good group of people that are here to help you, and that's really what this is all about. As I mentioned, if you have questions, you can reach out to any of us. We also have just a general mailbox that actually comes to me, and I can answer any questions if you'd like to talk offline versus online. And it's simply chicagoland@ageinplace.org. You can also go to the website. As I mentioned, we're based out of Washington, D.C. It's a nonprofit, and it's ageinplace.org is where you can see all that information. And then you can go to the Chicagoland chapter, and it'll give you a rundown of who the members are here in the Chicagoland area. So is there anybody who has a question that I can answer for you? I did see one in the chat box, and Clearbrook does in fact pick up furniture. I do know that they have a criteria on what their furniture requirements are. With COVID, I don't know how they've changed their protocol, but they do in fact take furniture.
Who takes furniture?
Clearbrook.
Clearbrook?
Mm-hmm. They're based out of, I believe it's Arlington Heights. Anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to get an overview of the groups you're representing and how to get a hold of you.
Sure. So I will pass this information on to Megan, and she can email it off to you. Megan, do you know who's on the phone so you know who to reach out to?
I'm not sure.
Gail.
What's your name?
Gail.
Gail?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Gail, I've got your email address from when you signed up, so I can get that to you, definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll get you the information. If you have any questions, you know who to reach out to, and we can answer those for you.
Mm.
Anyone else have any questions now that we can answer for you?
Do you know if there's territory restrictions as to how far they'll go to pick up furniture?
No, I do not know that. At one time, they had a radius of like 20 miles. Again, so many people have changed their protocol with COVID, so I don't know if it changed or not. So I know that's what it used to be. I just don't know if it still is.
Okay, thanks.
I also heard that Habitat for Humanities has a place in.
They do. They have a couple of them.
Yeah, they will take some furniture.
But I think there you have to drop it off. I think
Oh.
Clearbrook will actually pick it up.
That's nice.
Yes.
Mhm.
Is there anybody else?
I just have a quick announcement.
Oh yeah, Maureen, please. I'm so sorry. Please.
That's okay. I'm also a member of the NAIPC Chicagoland group, by the way. But I am involved, as all of us are, right, working with seniors. So part of that is that I'm on a committee for the Alzheimer's Association Walk to End Alzheimer's, our South Suburban Walk, which isn't going to be till October 2nd. However, we are having a fundraiser this Thursday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Panera Bread right in Oak Lawn, 10553 South Cicero. And I will be there with flyers, but I'm also going to be running some flyers over to the Oak Lawn Library as soon as this is over. So that we're hoping, we can raise some funds for that walk. And so just want to get the message out and please pass the word.
So do they have to say that they're there for Alzheimer's, or all proceeds go towards that?
No, they have to say, and that's why I've got these flyers, because I'm going to be at the door and hoping somebody else will be at the other door. They have 2 doors, handing them as people walk in.
Got it.
I've been posting it on my LinkedIn page and my Facebook page each day this week as well. And but then it hit me, hey, we're dealing with the library tonight. Why not ask if I can drop some flyers off?
Right there.
So thank you, Megan.
Yeah, sure thing. All right.
Megan, is the library open for visitors?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Good.
we're open almost our full hours. We're open till 9 p.m. on Monday through Thursday, and then 6 p.m. On Friday, and from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday. And right now we're closed Sundays, but we'll be open again Sundays beginning in October. So and I know you guys mentioned book donations. We weren't taking book donations for a while either, but we are accepting those again. So if you guys do
Wonderful.
have anything,
Oh,
Friends of the Library have reopened their bookstore and are accepting donations. The volunteers that run the Friends of the Library weren't in the building for a long time with the pandemic. And that's why we couldn't accept them, because we had nowhere to store all of them and nobody was able to process anything. But they are back in the building and the bookstore's open. So donations, we do accept donations again.
so can I bring a bunch of art books over then too?
With those flyers.
With
Bring
those
everything
flyers?
tonight, Maureen.
All
So
right.
Megan, she doesn't need the emergency book. She's bringing the emergency book.
She's bringing all the books. Excellent. Yeah. So yeah, you guys can donate stuff again. We
Yeah,
had a
they're in
lot of
great-
questions about that during the pandemic, kind of like you said, with half price books and everything. We were experiencing that same thing, but we are
Yeah.
taking them again.
Good, good.
Okay.
Wonderful.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for presenting tonight. And thank you to the
You're welcome.
NAIPC for the last several programs that you guys have done with us and bringing all this great information to our community. It is so appreciated. And I've had a
You're
ton
so
of
very welcome.
great compliments and a lot of interest. And it's good just to, of course, have your information handy so I know who to
Right.
refer people to in the event that they're asking for things like
You know,
that.
I always say you don't know what you don't know. And that's the thing. People don't know who to turn to. People don't know who to trust. You watch TV and you hear it all the time, all the horrible things that are happening. And it is happening and it's very scary. And most of us in the senior space, if you will, and working in this this community, it's very rewarding, and that's the benefit of even working with members of NAIPC, because we even go a step further with the background checks and things of that nature, because it's important. It's very important.
It is, and having an organization that you can trust
Supports that.
yeah is
huge.
wonderful.
Yeah. So
And so thank you all for being here tonight.
you're quite welcome.
We will hope to see you again soon. I'm going to stop the recording right now.